Hi, this is Tracy. Thanks for being here. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Today I want to tell you about the single most humiliating fact I've ever learned about my own spending habits. I was 26. I was at a department store counter. A very attractive person in a white lab coat was explaining to me, with the confident authority of someone who's been trained to explain this, why this particular fragrance, which I just sprayed on my wrist and immediately loved, was worth $90. The bottle, they said, was designed by a sculptor. The campaign had involved a photographer whose name I was supposed to recognize. The fragrance itself was inspired by the gardens of somewhere. It contained bergamot. I bought it, and I felt great about buying it. I wore it for 3 years. I still think about it fondly. Years later, I learned that the liquid inside a typical designer fragrance bottle represents approximately 2 to 5% of the retail price. That's right, 2 to 5%. On a $90 bottle, I paid roughly $4 for the thing I sprayed on my skin and loved for 3 years. The rest, $86, went to the bottle, the box, the campaign, the attractive person in the white lab coat, the placement fee the brand paid to be at that particular counter at that particular store, and the license agreement with the fashion house whose name was on the front. The bergamot was not the expensive part. The bergamot cost pennies. The feeling of being the kind of person who buys a $90 fragrance at a counter, that was the product. That cost $86. I've thought a lot about this over the years. Here's what makes this interesting, rather than just infuriating. The relationship between price and quality in fragrance is almost perfectly inverted. Shalimar, 1925, Jacques Guerlain. This CDP costs, at most counters, considerably less than the bottle in the minimal black box with the German-sounding name that was launched 18 months ago and will be discontinued quietly in 4 years when the sales projections aren't met. Shalimar has been in production for 107 years. Let me spray it on skin. Shalimar. Shalimar smells like a very specific and extremely confident dream about warmth and skin and something that can't quite be named. It's been reformulated, restricted, adjusted, and it still smells like Shalimar. The formula has survived everything the century threw at it because the formula is serious. You're getting more than you're paying for in a market defined by paying more than you're getting. This is genuinely unusual. The economics of luxury fragrance are structured to separate the price signal from the quality argument, to make you feel that the higher the price, the higher the quality, even when this is not the case. A fragrance in a beautiful bottle with a high price is communicating something about who you'll feel like when you own it. That communication is real and is real value, but it is not the same as the formula. L'Interdit is an interesting case. L'Interdit, the name means forbidden, was made originally by Hubert de Givenchy for Audrey Hepburn, a personal fragrance, not for sale. She actually told him it was forbidden from general release, and after a while, she relented. Eventually, it became a commercial fragrance, and the 2018 relaunch was made by Dominic Ropion and Fanny Bell. Ropion also made Portrait of a Lady and Carnal Flower. Let me smell this on skin. Oof, I love this fragrance. The formula is a white floral with jasmine and iris in a specific relationship. Muted, slightly powdery, with a density that most white florals don't have. Someone worked on this. The quality is real. So's the spend. LVMH, which owns Givenchy, spent significantly on the campaign. Rooney Mara in black and white, the language of a certain kind of luxury. Both live in that bottle. Both are part of what you're buying. The houses that have not sold to luxury conglomerates, the small independent houses, the people making 150 bottles at a time in a workshop, spend nothing on advertising. All of the money is actually going into the liquid. You are paying only for the smell. This is, in the context of the industry, extremely unusual and increasingly rare. I'm not going to tell you to stop buying the big brand fragrances. I've been marketed to with considerable success for several decades, and I expect this to continue. The industry is very good at what it does. I've demonstrated repeatedly that I'm not immune. But here is what I want you to understand. The confusion is not an accident. The gap between the price and the liquid is not a market inefficiency that no one's noticed. It's the product, the story you are buying, about who you will be, what room you will enter differently, what version of yourself costs $90, is constructed deliberately, expensively, and with a great deal of skill by people who need you not to think about the bergamot for too long. The person in the white lab coat is not there to help you choose. She is part of the $86. Shalimar costs less than most of what surrounds it. It has been in continuous production for over 100 years. It smells like something a serious person made because a serious person made it. And the formula was serious enough to survive everything the century threw at it. It is one of the greatest things ever put in a bottle. Those two facts, the price and the quality, are not in tension. They are related. The market is very good at separating them. The question worth asking yourself, quietly, at the counter, before the explanation about the photographer and the gardens begins: do you know which product you're buying now? I know the difference. I bought Shalimar anyway. That is not a contradiction. That's the point.